Yes, I know, another one of these, but hey, you didn't have to click on this if you didn't want to. So, hey everybody, my name's Chris, and I'm leaving BuzzFeed for the first time, and I'm really nervous about it. But in all seriousness, I worked there from October 2014 to July 2017. And you might know my work not just from being on camera sometimes, but also my work like 9 questions gay people have for straight people, Native Americans trying on Indian Halloween costumes. And please believe me when I say that I was thinking a lot about whether I should even bother making one of these. But after watching a few of the previous Why I Left BuzzFeed videos, I kind of felt that my personal experiences were not as reflected in the previous videos. And so I just wanted to add my piece. And for the sake of transparency, I wanted to kind of come clean in a way. Like, I'd like to kind of, I guess, take advantage of the fact that I'm finally able to actually talk about work openly on this channel. And before I start, insert all of the caveats and qualifiers, you know, I'm not speaking for anybody but myself, and I'm not making this video because I'm looking to drag the company at all. And I still think that there are people who work there that put out really, really important work that isn't being made anywhere else, really. So the first reason that I had is not feeling valued. So for me, there was just a lot of unclarity as to how someone like me should be moving up in the company if you're not slaving over, you know, a super viral, high-performing series. I worked there for 3 years, and I was only promoted 1 time. And so I never really received any clarification as to what my shortcomings were, and also what are the concrete things that need to be laid out in front of me for me to hit in order for me to be considered for a higher position. It just was really confusing and also upsetting just because I felt like I was doing everything that I was told to do. You know, like mentoring fellows who are in the running to become full-time employees, hitting quota, and to also chime in on content that could be race sensitive because, you know, the company doesn't want to have a PR nightmare. But it felt like none of the things that I was asked to do really helped out with me advancing in the company. At least from where I was sitting, there was a pretty big degree of disorganization, which is understandable for a company that has grown just so quickly and, you know, started off like really startup-y, and because they grew so quickly, like they're still struggling to kind of create more infrastructure to be more organized, but also still keep like the good parts of what it means to be a startup. And so naturally, like, structures were changing, the rules were changing, which is totally fine. It just felt like more thought could have been placed into the way that employees at my level were going to be accounted for when like the rules started changing, when like our standards started changing, and when our mission started changing. And I felt like I was being placed in this weird position of needing to be okay with all of this organization that was hurting me. There have been a few times where when I tried to bring up those things, I was labeled as insubordinate and like not being considerate of like all of the effort that the management is putting into like making things better. In fact, I was actually reported to HR for bringing up issues and concerns about race and Asian content while I was trying to lead the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month last year. There was also another incident where I was actually in a meeting because I was asking a lot of questions as to why my level was lower than I thought that it should be. And in that meeting, I was actually told that I still wasn't reaching a point that they felt that I was a producer that people could look up to. And that was just also really confusing for me because I never received that feedback before after 2 years. And also this was coming from a person who actually has asked me to mentor people personally to help with initiatives and, you know, has told me that I'm on my way to becoming a good producer. And so both of those incidences separately required me to step back, like holistically look at my situation and to really ask myself if I was getting as much as I was giving to BuzzFeed, I guess. Something that's kind of become like my thing is creating content that helps people feel represented and heard, you know, either when I talk about being Asian or gay or when I talk about activism. And it was something that I was able to bring to BuzzFeed a little bit. I appreciate that I was always being asked and encouraged to make diverse content, but I never really was given any more resources or more like tangible rewards for putting in that extra work, as opposed to making, say, a taste test, which I also like doing, but that's not what I was known for within the company. So the second reason that I have is crediting. So I'm sure that it goes without saying that one of the biggest pluses of working at a really big influential media company is the exposure, you know, getting those Instagram followers. But actually for a while, our names did not appear on any of the videos, really. Not on the videos and not on the description boxes. And for quite a while, we got really vague and hand-wavy answers as to why we weren't doing that. And if you notice in the BuzzFeed videos now, they do have like this link where you can click on it and it'll show you all of the people that were involved in it, which is really good, but it's just that at that point the damage has been done already, because for a lot of older videos, ones that I have made, the links aren't going to be added into those anytime soon. They're working on like trying to go back and to add credits to those things, but I kind of feel like everybody has watched those videos already. People have moved past it already. I remember being so happy when my work was featured on Teen Vogue and Huffington Post and Mike.com, but it was always BuzzFeed as the entity that was credited with it. So all of that really didn't feel like real exposure or recognition really, and it really wasn't affording me any opportunities outside because, again, nobody knew what my work was, and people essentially would have to take me on my word saying that like, oh, I made this. I know that my name isn't on this, but please trust me, I made this. I'll never forget being approached at the Women's March by these group of really cute Asian girls and them hugging me and telling me, thank you so much for representing me. But for the most part, people don't know what my name is when they recognize me. People tell me all the time that, oh, I love your videos, but I usually assume that when they say my videos, they mean BuzzFeed's videos as a whole because, you know, obviously how would they know what videos I've made personally? And, because there's no crediting, people also don't entirely understand like what our jobs are even. People still get surprised when I tell them that I'm actually involved in all parts of the video creation process, from ideation to scripting to editing. Like, I'm not an actor, I'm not just hired to be on-camera talent, like, I do the whole shebang. And so as much as I liked being recognized, it wasn't really leading to that many other opportunities because, my name is not on my videos. I wasn't working on a lot of pieces that had my own face in them because that's one of the only ways you can get recognized is by having your face on them. Or I wasn't working on like giant viral franchises. And so the third biggest reason why I left was honestly, it was just for my mental health. I don't blame anybody outside for this, but the stress and the dissatisfaction that my work was starting to cause me after 3 years was really starting to make my mental health deteriorate. Like, honestly, I really don't know how I would have gotten these past few months if I didn't have a therapist. So shout out to my therapist. She's fucking awesome. But in therapy, it was really clear that I wasn't happy and wasn't fulfilled by what I was doing anymore. And it just started bleeding into different parts of my life that I also care about. I started not being able to sleep very well. I started getting really, really ragey when I lost at Overwatch. I just became an all-around irritable, less sociable person. Even on this channel, I felt like I wasn't able to completely give what I usually give to this channel. But don't get it twisted. I love the people that I was working with on my team, genuinely. BuzzFeed was the reason why I was able to move to LA. I really honestly don't know where I would be without them. At BuzzFeed, I got to make the first Native American centered identity pieces. I got to work on Queer Prom with Eugene. And again, I was also able to lead the Asian Content Initiative last year in May. I got to meet Phil Yu from Angry Asian Man. I'm friends with Jenny Yang. I got to make a video with fucking Willem Manila and Pandora Box. I interviewed RuPaul. I was invited to be a keynote speaker at TEDx at USC. Constance Wu knows who the fuck I am and follows me on Twitter. I think everybody who is in power in that company has very, very good intentions. But I just feel like those good intentions really need to be channeled into the way that the company itself works. I think it's just important for people to know that, at the end of the day, a company is a company. And when you're at a company, you always have to be thinking about, am I getting what I want? Does it feel like this is a good trade? And if it's not, again, that's okay. Just because like this place is really good doesn't mean that this is where I should be for the rest of my life. So I kind of wanted to just redirect all of the energy that I placed into work and see what I can get out of it if I focus all of that energy towards myself. For those of you who don't know me, I've actually been putting videos up on this channel every Thursday morning pretty consistently for a really long time. I'm thinking like similar ideas to what I already put out, but maybe just better execution. That's not to say that I'm not scared shitless of the future. I think a lot of kids who are born around the same time as me, they were never really brought up being able to think about like what a job that's not a 9-to-5 full-time job would look like. I don't even really think that the word freelancing is even in my family's vocabulary. But despite all of that, like, I can't help but want to try, I think it would just be so shitty to assume that I have no chance and to just be like, oh, well, like, why even bother trying? Because that's exactly what I did to myself when I first decided to change careers from an engineer to a content creator. That's what my mom told me when I first decided to make that switch. So if you clicked on this video, not just because you're looking for tea on BuzzFeed, but because maybe you've seen me around before, or maybe you just found out about me today, I just want to continue to seek and pursue creative growth. So it would be a huge honor if you would join me on this quest, I guess. I'm gonna be putting up a lot of stuff that I'm really proud of on this channel. I could possibly starting out a new podcast. I actually took literally 2 days to revamp my Patreon that I haven't told anybody about on the internet for, I think, 4 years, I think. So yeah, I genuinely appreciate you. Thank you for watching this and listening to my story, my perspective. I hope that you're taking care of yourself today, and I'll see you next week. Yeah, I'll see you later, okay?